If you have ever been punished, criticized, or silenced for being too true, prepare yourself. The energy changes today. The universe is no longer testing you with confrontations. It is giving you a stamp of approval. Your voice, once forbidden, your wildest truth, now receives a cosmic blessing of expansion. Just 2 days ago, the energy was one of confrontation, of a war in the throat. That was the test. What happens today is the reward. Jupiter, the great benefic, the planet of luck and wisdom, forms a trine, an aspect of divine flow, with the same Lilith that was under attack. It is your most instinctive and honest part, after having been put to the test, now receiving the legitimization of the King of the Gods. It is as if the universe, after testing you, now says, "You passed. Your truth is valid. Your intensity is power. Now go and expand it. What was once your shadow, your secret, your rebellion, is now invited to take the stage and be seen as your greatest source of wisdom." Today's energy is not about fighting. It is about receiving, about allowing yourself to be big, about accepting the blessing of your own authenticity. Many of us are excellent at fighting against what we don't want, but terrible at receiving what we deserve. The invitation of this portal is for you to open yourself to this amplification, to use this blessing to give voice to your truth without fear. The coronation of your wild voice begins now. When a cosmic blessing of this magnitude lands in our energetic field, it does not ask for permission. It announces its arrival through a series of internal and external changes that are as potent as they are unmistakable. The energy ceases to be one of confrontation and becomes one of expansion. If the test of Mercury with Lilith just 2 days ago was about the pain of a repressed truth fighting to get out, what you feel now is the relief and euphoria of that same truth, being finally validated and amplified by the cosmos. The symptoms of this blessing are the testimony that your crossing through the shadow was worth it. The first and most potent sign is a sudden and expansive courage. The hesitation, the fear of speaking, the internal war between what you felt and what you thought was safe to say, all of it begins to dissolve like mist under a strong sun. In its place, a new and bold confidence in your own voice and your own truth is born. It is a change you feel in your body. Your shoulders relax and fall back. Your breathing deepens. The feeling of a lump in the throat, so present in recent days, disappears. You may find yourself initiating conversations, sharing opinions, and expressing your perspective with an ease and fluidity that seemed impossible 48 hours ago. This is not a forced or aggressive courage. It is a courage born of faith. It is the energy of Jupiter, the planet of expansion and wisdom, infusing your Lilith with the certainty that your truth is not just valid. It is necessary and valuable. The universe is giving you an energetic green light to be yourself, out loud and unapologetically. It is the feeling that your wildest truth no longer needs to hide. The second symptom, which blossoms from this new courage, is a contagious optimism regarding your wildest and most unconventional ideas. Think of those dreams, projects, and life philosophies that you keep hidden in the back of your mind for fear of them being considered strange, unrealistic, or too big. That book you dream of writing on a taboo subject, that artistic project that expresses your deepest soul without worrying about the market, that radical life change that goes against all social and family conventions. Under the influence of this trine, these ideas no longer seem frightening or impractical. They seem brilliant and, for the first time, possible. Jupiter, the great visionary, illuminates your Lilith, the part of you that refuses to conform, and the result is an explosion of faith in your own unique path. You begin to see not the obstacles, but the possibilities. The voice of your inner critic, which once whispered, "That's madness," is now drowned out by the expansive voice of Jupiter, which roars, "That's genius." This is an incredibly fertile window of time for planning major projects and for allowing yourself to dream beyond the limits that you or society have imposed on yourself. It is the legitimization of your inner prophet. The third symptom is the manifestation of this energy in the outer world, through synchronicities and unexpected encounters. When your internal frequency changes from fear of my truth to faith in my truth, the universe responds by mirroring this new frequency. Pay attention in the next 48 hours. The validation will not only come from within, but also from without. You might, by chance, find a book, an article, or a video that talks about the exact wild idea you were having, confirming that you are not alone in your vision. You might meet a new person who shares your unconventional life philosophy, creating a feeling of, finally, someone who gets me. You might receive an invitation or an opportunity that seems to be the direct answer to a desire you had repressed. Imagine you have a bold idea for a project. You feel the courage to mention it to a friend. An hour later, that friend forwards you an email about a contest or a grant that is perfect for that idea. These are not accidents. They are proof that your energy, now aligned, is attracting by resonance the people and information that will support your expansion. It is Jupiter's blessing manifesting on the physical plane. Finally, the fourth symptom is the amplification of your desires. The energy of Lilith is, in its essence, the energy of primal and authentic desire. Jupiter, by touching it harmoniously, removes the layers of guilt and shame that we often associate with our deepest desires. We were taught that wanting too much is selfish or wrong. This transit comes to heal that belief. The question the universe is asking you now is not, should you want this? But rather, how big do you allow yourself to want? The desire for more freedom, more truth, more joy, more passion, more purpose, more abundance. All of this is amplified. And the lesson here is to learn to welcome this expansion, to accept that you are worthy of wanting more, of being more, of living more. Jupiter is not just saying you can want more. He is saying it is sacred to want more. It is the cosmic permission to finally admit the true size of your hunger for life and to claim it as your divine right. If you recognize yourself in the signs of amplification, you are feeling the result of the alchemy. Now let's enter the secret chamber where this powerful potion is being prepared. To truly understand the power at your disposal, we need to decode the sacred alliance between the two architects of this blessing, Jupiter in Cancer and Lilith in Scorpio. This is not an alliance in the air, made of ideas, but an alliance in the deep waters of the soul, made of emotion, intuition, and power. First, let's understand the source of the blessing, the power that is legitimizing your truth. Jupiter, the planet of expansion, faith, wisdom, and luck, is in its sign of exaltation, Cancer. Think about what this means. The largest planet in our solar system, the great benefic, is in its happiest and most potent position, transiting through the sign that rules our deepest emotions, our home, our family, our ancestry, and our sense of inner security. Jupiter in Cancer does not expand our intellect coldly or our ambition calculatingly. It expands our heart. It blesses us with a deep sense of emotional faith, the unshakable belief that, deep down, we are safe, cared for, and belong. The wisdom that Jupiter in Cancer offers us does not come from books or theories, but from the intelligence of the heart, from lived experience, and from empathy. It is the energy of the benevolent matriarch or patriarch, who protects their tribe with a fierce generosity. It is the energy that teaches us that true abundance is not what we accumulate, but the emotional security we cultivate. Now let's look at the force that is being blessed and crowned by this energy. Lilith, our wild and untamed truth, is in the sign of Scorpio. This is her natural territory, her kingdom. Scorpio is the domain of power, of secrets, of transformation, of deep psychology, of raw intimacy, and of everything considered taboo. Lilith in Scorpio is not the prophetess who screams philosophical truth from the mountaintop, as in Sagittarius. She is the sorceress, the shadow psychologist, the shaman who descends into the underworld and returns with the treasures of darkness. Her power is relentless intuition. It is your internal lie detector, your supernatural ability to sense hidden power dynamics and secret motivations in any situation. It is your courage to dive into your own shadows, to look at your pain, your trauma, and your anger, not to drown in them, but to transmute them into power. It is your strength that refuses to be manipulated or controlled. For a long time, this part of you may have been labeled by society and by yourself as too intense, distrustful, vindictive, or complicated, forcing it into exile in the basement of your psyche. And here is the alchemy. Here is the magic of this transit. What happens when the expansive faith, emotional security, and heart wisdom of Jupiter in Cancer form a perfect alliance, a trine of divine flow with the intuitive power, raw truth, and transformative force of Lilith in Scorpio? The result is the coronation of your emotional and intuitive sovereignty. Your deepest and darkest intuition, Lilith, the one you may have learned to doubt or fear, now receives the blessing of wisdom and faith. Jupiter, you don't just feel the hidden truth in a situation. You now trust that feeling as your most sacred guide. Your sensitivity, which once may have been a source of pain, becomes your greatest superpower. You learn that your emotional exaggeration was not a flaw, but rather the measure of your depth. Your intensity was not a problem, but rather the proof of your immense power. And this is the window of opportunity that opens. Most people will feel this wave of intuition and emotional depth, but because of conditioning, they will doubt it. They will let the logical, skeptical mind dismiss it as paranoia or imagination. They will miss the chance to act on their deepest wisdom, choosing the safety of what is known over the power of what is felt. But you, who now understand this sacred alliance, have the cosmic permission to do differently, to trust your wildest instincts as your most reliable guide, to honor your deepest feelings as your truth, to realize that your strangeness, your intensity, your refusal to accept superficiality are not your weaknesses, but your genius, your soul signature. The universe is telling you that your Lilith no longer needs to hide. She can and must sit on the throne of your heart, ruling with the benevolent wisdom of Jupiter. The intellectual understanding of the alliance between Jupiter and Lilith is the key that opens the door, but it is the practice, the conscious act of walking through that door that performs the magic. What follows is not a to-do list, but a sacred protocol, a three-phase journey for you to embody and activate this energy of expansion in your life. This is your rite of passage, the moment to transform cosmic permission into personal power. Phase 1. The inventory of repressed desire. Before we can expand, we must first have the courage to know what within us yearns for expansion. For years, we have been taught to repress, diminish, and judge our deepest and wildest desires, especially those that do not fit social conventions. Lilith in Scorpio is the guardian of these desires. Jupiter in Cancer gives us the emotional security to finally open the vault and look at what is inside without fear. The first phase is an act of radical self-honesty. Take your notebook. Find a space where you will not be interrupted, where you feel safe. Light a candle if it helps you to mark this moment as sacred. At the top of the page, write the inventory of my forbidden desires. And then take a deep breath and answer these 3 questions, one at a time, allowing the truth to flow from your soul to your hand without the censorship of your mind. The first question: what desire about my body, my pleasure, or my beauty have I repressed for fear of being judged as a selfish or inappropriate? Allow yourself to be honest. Is it the desire to dress a certain way, to explore a part of yourself that seems taboo, to dedicate more time and resources to your own pleasure and well-being? The second question: what truth about an important relationship, romantic, family, or friendship have I silenced to keep the peace or to not be abandoned? What is the unspoken word that weighs on your heart? What is the boundary you long to set? What is the emotional need you refuse to admit? The third question: what wild ambition or unrealistic dream do I hide from everyone and even from myself for fear of failure or ridicule? What is the creative project, the career change, the journey that would make your soul sing, but that your logical mind dismisses as impossible? Do not rush. Let the answers come. The result of this phase is a clear and honest map of your Lilith territory, the inventory of your most authentic and repressed truth. This is the raw material for our alchemy. Phase 2. The decree of permission. After identifying the desire, the next step is to consciously and formally grant yourself permission to have that desire. This is a crucial stage that rewrites decades of shame and unworthiness programming. It is your coronation, your act of sitting on the throne of your own heart and declaring the new laws of your kingdom. Look at the answers you wrote in your inventory. For each forbidden desire, for each silenced truth, for each wild ambition, you will now write a sacred decree of permission. The formula is simple, but its energy is monumental. It is: I, your name, at this moment, give myself the unconditional permission to transform your answers into decrees. For example, I, your name, at this moment, give myself the unconditional permission to desire a body that gives me pleasure and joy and not one that fits others' standards. Or I, your name, at this moment, give myself the unconditional permission to feel my truth about this relationship and to honor my feelings. Or even, I, your name, at this moment, give myself the unconditional permission to believe in my vision for my project, no matter how grand it may seem. Write your 3 decrees, read them aloud, feel the energetic shift that happens when you exchange repression for permission. This act is your sovereignty manifesting. It is an act that aligns your conscious mind with the primal truth of your Lilith, preparing the ground for manifestation in the physical world. Phase 3, the act of emotional sovereignty. A decree, however powerful, needs to be anchored in the real world through an action to become truth. The alchemy is completed in the act. This final phase is about proving to yourself and to the universe that your permission is real and that you are serious about your own expansion. Your task is to choose one of your permission statements, the one that scares you the most and at the same time excites you the most, and your commitment is to perform one small but real and concrete act of sovereignty to honor it in the next 24 hours. The action does not need to be the conclusion of the journey. It needs to be the first step out of the old prison. If your permission was about your body, the act might be to buy that piece of clothing online that celebrates your sensuality instead of hiding it. If it was about your truth in a relationship, The act might be to write the letter that you may never send, but that externalizes and validates your feelings. If it was about your wild ambition, the act might be to register the domain name for your project, or to make a single research call, or to buy the first book on the subject. This act breaks the inertia of repression. It is the physical proof that a new choice has been made. It is your way of saying yes to Jupiter's blessing. It is the clear signal you send to the universe that you are not just dreaming of expansion, but that you are willing to act to create it. The ritual of permission is complete. You have identified your deepest and most repressed desires. You have decreed, with your own sovereign voice, your permission to feel them and to honor them. And most importantly, you have performed an act in the physical world that anchored this new permission, proving to yourself and to the universe that your decision is real. The alchemy has happened. The coronation has taken place. What was once your shadow, your rebellion, your forbidden voice, is now invited to take the stage, not as an intruder, but as your greatest source of wisdom and power. The blessing of Jupiter upon your inner Lilith is not a fleeting event that ends when the day is over. It is an activation. It is a cosmic stamp of approval that, once consciously received, remains with you. You cannot unlearn your own validity. Your relationship with your wildest truth and with your most authentic desires has been permanently altered. Where there was once shame, now there is permission. Where there was once repression, now there is expansion. Where there was once the fear of being too much, now there is the faith that your intensity is, in fact, your genius. This is the true transformation of this transit. Rebellion transforms into charismatic wisdom. Your ability to speak your truth, now blessed by Jupiter's expansion, ceases to be a source of conflict and becomes a source of inspiration. You discover that you do not need to diminish your truth to be loved. On the contrary, it is your truth, expressed with confidence and generosity, that becomes your greatest power of attraction. If this message of permission and expansion has resonated with your soul, if you are ready to honor your most authentic truth as your greatest source of value, anchor this new consciousness. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear that their weirdness is in fact their superpower, and declare your new relationship with your inner voice in the comments. My truth has value, and don't forget to subscribe, as the journey to reclaim our full power is just beginning.